Hello, and welcome back to the Paranormal Podcast. I am Dan Pasella, your host, co-founder, lead investigator for Orange County, New York Paranormal. And welcome back to the final Paranormal Podcast of 2023. We'll be taking a little brief, small hiatus. We'll be back in January, taking a little bit of a holiday break. Hopefully all of you are taking a little holiday break here soon as well. If you are new, please download, rank, review, rate the podcast. Let us know what you think. Tell your friends. And there's also a video version of the podcast on Facebook and on YouTube. If you have not followed us on Facebook or YouTube, please do so. You can follow our adventures, follow all the different things that we do, and if you are watching this on YouTube or subscribe to us on YouTube, make sure to ring the bell so that you'll be notified when all of our videos come out. Not only do we do the Paranormal Podcast, but we also do a lot of investigations, and we publish all of the evidence that we find. It's amazing to me that this is our final episode of 2023, and I can't believe how fast it's come. If you're anything like me, you've been sitting there going, where did this year go? But when it comes to this podcast and the evolution of where we began, we've only been putting this out since April, and it has been such an amazing adventure and a huge surprise to all of us as to how quickly it's grown, how many folks have tuned in. And it's surprising, not because of who we are, but because of who we aren't. And that's the most amazing thing. We are not a major paranormal group at all. We are a gnat on the windshield of the paranormal community. And the fact that so many folks have chosen to download and listen to the Paranormal Podcast is been really amazing and very touching. And we're incredibly thankful for all of you. So for those of you who have been here since the beginning, for those of you who have joined us halfway, and those of us, this is your first episode ever, thank you so much for a great year as we've gotten the podcast off the ground, and we look forward to continuing our broadcasts into next year. So it is the holiday season. A lot of different holidays coming up, and what we thought we'd talk about today is gifts for ghost hunters, because paranormal investigators are very hard to shop for. And if you have a paranormal enthusiast in your life, someone who, whether they're a ghost hunter who just goes to, some random events, to folks like us who really go in and do the investigations and have their own organization and have their own equipment, it is really difficult to shop for someone in either of those spectrum of interest in the paranormal and in investigating. And it's tough. I've gotten some weird stuff over the years from folks who just didn't know what to get. So they just said, oh, this has a ghost on it. Let me get that for him. Or this has a recorder hidden in a button. Let me get that for him. And it's tough because the actual equipment that we use is really expensive. And, not only is it expensive, but a lot of it isn't worth the money. And a lot of folks who don't understand the equipment or the paranormal don't know what to get. So in a lot of cases, they just don't really get you anything because they don't know what to do. So we thought it'd be kind of fun to go through the list and just talk about some of the stuff you can get the paranormal enthusiast in your life that isn't necessarily stuff that you might think about or that's obvious, but also stuff that isn't necessarily going to break the bank. We also, because, I think it's an obligation when you do the last episode of a year that you do talk about the last year and the things that you remember. And we've come away with some things that are really going to stick with us that have made 2023 just such a great and fantastic year for Orange County, New York Paranormal. So that's what we're going to talk about today. And as we're in the middle of the holiday season, let's talk about holiday presents for your paranormal enthusiast. So as I said before, there's a lot of big stuff when it comes to paranormal investigation, which is funny. When I say big stuff, I mean cost. A lot of paranormal investigation equipment is actually rather small when you get it. But there's a lot of expensive paranormal equipment out there, and let me tell you, most of it ain't worth it. But if you don't know what you're looking for and you don't know what is worth the money and what isn't, I always say don't even try to buy the big stuff if you're not buying it for yourself. Every group is different. There's 10,000 groups doing it 10,000 ways. And everybody has their own preferred methodology. Everybody has equipment that they do want to use or don't want to use or like to use or don't like to use. And it is a crapshoot to buy equipment for a paranormal investigator, even if you do know what they do, because only really does the investigator or the group know what they need. If you're looking to make a splash financially and get someone a big gift that's a paranormal investigator, get them a gift card. Get them a gift card. Ghost Stop is a website, ghoststop.com. Not endorsing us, just a place that I've bought a lot of our big equipment over the years. Quality stuff, decent pricing. Get them a gift card to a place like that. Ghost St. Augustine's another one that we've bought some stuff from. Go the gift card route. Don't take the chance on spending a lot of money on something that isn't going to be used, because that's the worst. When you spend that kind of money and that same amount could have gone to something that investigator or person would have used a lot more. I will also advise you to be careful if you're looking to buy paranormal equipment or something for, the paranormal enthusiast in your life on eBay, because not every eBay seller is the same. You get mixed results. Some of the folks on eBay have businesses. Some of them are investigators who have engineering backgrounds who have chosen to take up making equipment because they got tired of how expensive it was. If you're going to look for paranormal equipment, whether you're shopping for yourself on a gift that you got, on money that you got, or you're shopping for someone who is an investigator, be very careful. Look into the background of who you're buying from, because again, we've had some interesting experiences on eBay. It's one of those if I knew then what I know now kind of things, and you have to be very careful with that. So be very careful. But it's better to do that. It is better to just buy a gift card and let the investigator, let the person decide what they want. And because there's so much gimmicky paranormal stuff out there to take advantage of the popularity of the field. And they'll put a digital recorder in anything. I mean, go ahead and look up some of this stuff, and it's amazing. You think to yourself, who in the world would buy that? Well, most likely the people who buy it are the people who are looking for a gift for someone who is a paranormal enthusiast. And yeah, the gimmicky stuff, there's some pretty hilarious stuff. Leave a comment in the review or on Facebook or YouTube video version of this, of the strangest gimmick paranormal thing you've ever seen. Because there's some interesting ones out there. I'd love to hear what the rest of you have seen. Another thing you can do, if in terms of spending, decent amount of money, is you could also look to purchase an experience for the ghost hunter in your life. If they aren't like doing the full investigation thing, or even if they are, look for some local ghost hunt events. Look for organizations that actually do this professionally. Ghost Hunts USA is an amazing organization. Again, not a sponsor, but just something that we have some experience with. Great people, let you use the equipment, and man, they get access to some amazing locations that if you were to, as a paranormal organization, try to investigate some of these places, it could cost you in the thousands of dollars. Whereas for a couple $100, you get a full night of an experience. You get to use equipment. You get to investigate with some folks who are experts in the field. So experiences, and doing even tours of haunted places. Getting somebody, a gift card to a museum or a location that is haunted. It doesn't have to be at night. You don't even have to be investigating the paranormal. Eastern State Penitentiary, great example. That place was amazing, and we were there in broad daylight. It was still an amazing place to be, knowing what we know about that place. So there's a lot of experiences out there that are really good investments for folks looking to buy something for somebody who loves the paranormal. And again, you don't have to go big, but if you want to go big, there are things you can do, like the gift cards and things like that, and some of the experiences are definitely the way to go if you're looking to make a splash. But it's not about the big bucks, it's the thought that counts, right? There are ways where you can buy, if you want, an actual piece of equipment, a paranormal equipment that isn't going to necessarily break the bank. For somebody who is either just getting started or folks who've been established, there is a paranormal investigation equipment that isn't going to break the bank. Some of the less expensive pieces of equipment to look into if you're looking to buy something in the mid-range would be, believe it or not, SB7 Spirit Box is under $100 usually, especially now if the 11 is out. The 11 uses different channels, but the SB7 is a great paranormal investigation tool. We still use it, and they're generally not the most expensive. There are some brands of Polaroid cameras that you can find that are less than $100, and obviously some film you will need with that too. But Polaroid cameras have been known to capture paranormal activity. We use them all the time when we investigate. We've never caught anything on one, but that doesn't mean you stop using it. But it's something that we use a lot. K2 meters, electromagnetic energy detectors, are generally not that expensive, and every investigator in the world that does it through any kind of tech is going to use something like that. I wouldn't get the dirt cheap ones, but you can find decent to good EMF detectors that aren't going to be really, really expensive. Heck, there's even like stocking stuffer stuff you can do. The laser pen, the pen with the little dots that you can use, it helps determine if there's anything that breaks the line that's caused by these 1,000 of laser beams that come out of the tip of the pen. We use them a lot when we are investigating areas, for example, that have different textures to the walls, different soft furniture. You can actually move it back and forth, see if there's anything interfering with that. You can use any kind of temperature gun or handheld temperature guide to cold spots, warm spots. Paranormal activity tends to be cooler than the surrounding air around it. These are not expensive things. Anybody who wants to do any kind of outdoor investigating, trail cameras are very useful and not that expensive. Anytime we do any kind of outdoor investigation, we do utilize trail cameras because they only pick up when they sense movement, and they don't really do much with audio, but audio outside is kind of finicky anyway because of the wind and the sensitivity of the equipment. So trail cameras are great tools. And also simple motion sensors, like the stuff you'd buy for your house, for the doors or windows of your home. Those things are inexpensive. We use cat toys. We use those little colored balls with the lights in them that if they sense vibration, they move around. It's meant to be a toy for a pet, but we use it in paranormal investigation. And these are all tools that you can get that aren't that expensive. Sort of stocking stuffer paranormal equipment, if you will, for the paranormal enthusiast. And you know what? The best part about that stuff, other than the fact that it's not expensive, it's all useful. And it's all stuff that no matter what paranormal investigator you're buying it for, they'll use it. And that's really what you want. That's why I said earlier, don't waste the money on the big stuff because you don't know if they're going to use it. Here, everything I just mentioned, I guarantee you every investigator at some point has used most of those things. You know what else paranormal investigators do? They wear clothes. I would hope most people do wear clothes. And good news, if you're not watching the video version of the podcast, I always do. So don't shy away from the video podcast because of that. But one of the things, honestly, you want, in my opinion, to give the best gift you can give to a paranormal investigator, buy them a vest with a bunch of pockets in it. And I've talked about the vest before on the podcast. I have talked about how it is the most important piece of paranormal equipment you could have because it allows you to hold everything. If you're in a paranormal organization, there's always the person who gets stuck carrying everything. That is me. And when you have something like that, it's amazing because it just allows the investigation to go so much more smoothly. If you have a paranormal investigator in your life or enthusiast who wants to start doing this, get them the vest. The vest is the most important thing. But we also wear other things too. And one of the things you can really look into are protection items, bracelets, necklaces, things like black tourmaline, things like obsidian, things like onyx. If the person you're buying for is deeply religious, some kind of religious symbol, a lot of the strength that comes from these items actually comes from within. So the idea of wearing something with protection is to make you feel more empowered simply by wearing it. So something, especially something coming from a loved one, is definitely going to add to the confidence and the feeling that is going to give that kind of protection against negative energy. And we wear them all the time. I usually wear one even no matter where I'm going. There's negative energy everywhere. You don't have to be in a haunted house to find that. But at the same time, stuff that's useful, stuff to wear during investigation, stuff to protection, bracelets, necklaces, things like that. Great gifts. I'm going to do a really, really shameless plug right now, but some other clothes you might consider are the stuff I'm wearing. If you like our look, we do have a merchandise store. We run it through queensboro.com. I will put a link in the description. Feel free to check that out if you want some Orange County, New York paranormal. Probably not quite going to get there in time for Christmas if you order today, but I figure we're talking about clothing, so I might as well fit in a shameless plug for our own merchandising store. Why not, right? So if you know stuff about the paranormal, I probably, if you watch the shows or you've done any of that, you probably understand and have kind of thought most of what I've talked about being a little obvious, except the vest, in terms of what to buy a paranormal enthusiast. But there's little stuff we always need. And I'm going to tell you what some of these things are, because you wouldn't necessarily think. But man, are they great gifts to get a paranormal enthusiast, but they are also stuff that is absolutely needed. First of all, no one has ever bought any kind of batteries for a paranormal investigator that wasn't like an amazing gift. We go through batteries like you wouldn't believe. If you have a friend who's a paranormal investigator and you need batteries for anything, you call them because they have them. I have more batteries in this office than I could ever use if I wasn't a paranormal investigator. We always have batteries. We have tons and tons of them. We can never have enough of them, which is why that makes an amazing gift for a paranormal investigator. We always need extension cords. We always need power strips. We always need something to power all of the equipment that we're dragging around with us everywhere we go. We also need flashlights. It's funny, man, I lose more flashlights and they just disappear. And I get it, over the course of a year, you're going to lose one or two. This year, I feel like I lost one at every investigation we did and at every event that we did. So paranormal investigators can always use flashlights. In my opinion, the smaller, the better. But some folks do like that giant, like police flashlight that's huge. I like a small flashlight I can just stick in the pocket of my vest and pull out when I need it. Flashlights, always a great gift. SD cards, memory cards for paranormal groups that record what they do. Those cards, always good things to have where you save your evidence on. Weirdly, a Swiss Army knife comes in handy. I always have mine with me when we investigate, or also at my desk, because you never know what you're going to need for equipment, for opening things, for whatever repairs or whatever you have to do. It's always good to have something like that handy. For groups that use cameras to record, handheld tripods, like the handheld thing you can put right in your hand to put a camera on, to put a GoPro on, those things are always, always so useful. And you wouldn't think that paranormal investigators would really need all of those things, but we absolutely do. So I hope that list was somewhat helpful. I was thinking about it last week, about all the weird stuff that I've gotten over the years, that I was like, where did they find that? And I said, you know what, let's do an episode where we talk about the best gifts for investigators and for ghost hunters. So if you have that paranormal enthusiast in your life, I hope that I've helped you get some shopping done. 2023 continued the tradition of every year being better than the last one since we started out and started doing this as our own paranormal organization. It's been an amazing year. And every year we learn more. Every year we go new places. Every year we meet new people. And it's an amazing thing that we do, and it's enriched our lives so much in ways we never even imagined. I've said many times, the living people we've met along the way are the biggest surprise to us, more so than any of the spirits. So I thought that a fitting way to end the final paranormal podcast of 2023 would be to look back, which is, I guess, what probably most podcasts are doing right now. But I want to look back at a couple of just the three things that I'm going to cherish and take away from this year. The three things that really stood out, that, 10 years from now, when somebody says, what's at Orange County Paranormal? What are the things that you did in 2023 that still stand out to you? These are the three things that I really feel would be them. So, and these are in no particular order, but the third thing for me would be Lyons, New York. We investigated 3 locations in Lyons, New York this year. Museum of Wayne County History, the Omen Theater, and the Finger Lakes Community Action Building. And we did an event at the Finger Lakes Community Action Building too. And I group them together because, when you do multiple investigations in the same place, you start to feel like you feel like you're a part of the community. You start to get entrenched into the history of it, and you start to feel attached to it. And we've met so many people from that area, and we've gotten to see so many things and learn so much about that part of New York that it has really been something to cherish. Emily and I both, we feel connected to that town now because of all the history and all the things that we have done and will continue to do there. And Rhea and Margot being from that area helps in terms of having people there that can really have a feel for it, because they're a lot closer to it geographically than we are. But it's been great to get to know all of those folks. And we've had a similar experience with Cobleskill, New York, where we've done a lot of things in that area, and you get to feel that. So that to be able to sort of have that feeling with another community is really special. And it's great to be able to just sort of walk down the street of this delightful small town and just know so much about a town that I knew nothing about and would know nothing about if it wasn't for Orange County, New York Paranormal and traveling and meeting people. So it's been a real special year in terms of getting to know that community and meeting so many of the awesome people in that community. So that will stick with me. It's an awesome thing. I think the second thing that I will remember is we did such a wide variety of events this year. And the events I love doing them. And it's interesting to see how many different locations do events, but do them completely differently. And we got to do so many really just amazing things. We have our ghost hunt events at Grapevine Farms and at the Finger Lakes Community Action Center, which I mentioned before. And of course, all of the volunteer stuff with Hyde Hall that we continue to be honored to do. those events where we, teach about how to, how we investigate, and then, let's go. Here's our equipment, and let's go do it. Those are always fun. Some great experiences. Met some really awesome people. But there's also the unique ones. Bark Eater Chocolates. We did the fire, the fire s'mores by the fireplace, scary stories for that haunted location, and that's always a fun event. I'm hoping they'll have us back again. We've done that a couple years in a row. To even in Sharon Springs with the Sharon Historical Society and Museum, doing that live evidence reveal that we did a couple of weeks ago. Never done anything like that before, where we're broadcasting out not only evidence that for the paranormal investigation for the first time to not only the folks who were with us during it, but also folks in 22 states that were tuning in via Zoom to see it. And that was an experience that was totally unique. I've never been a part of that. I've never seen that. And to be able to do that was absolutely amazing. And, with all the different the only event we didn't do this year that we did last year was last year we did a Christmas party, if you could believe that. There was the Cobleskill Diner decided they wanted to do their Christmas party to be a dinner at Grapevine Farms and then a ghost hunt after. And that was really cool. I'd never heard of the Christmas party ghost hunt before, but that was a really fun and very unique way to do your office Christmas party. And that was a blast. But really, that's the only event type of event that we did last year we didn't do this year. So many more events, met so many new people, and we're already setting up events for 2024. In fact, October 2024 is almost completely booked already because of how many events that we're getting asked to do, and it's just fantastic. And but this year there was a big evolution in those events and how we did them, the way we went about them, and just the variety of these events that definitely made it stand out. We evolved this year as a group in terms of how we handle these, and definitely something I'm going to remember. And of course, my number one takeaway from 2023, it's not. I've been kind of broad on the first one. This is laser focused. It's the structured light camera evidence from the Gans house with Tim and the spirit and the stick figure of the spirit taking Tim's hand when we asked it to, and then moving toward Tim when we asked the spirit to move, and then sitting in his lap, and just being there for that. If you have not seen that, go on Facebook, go on YouTube, the Gans house. It's our last investigation video that's been published. And, feel free to follow us, like, subscribe, and all that to watch all of them. But the Gans house video, that experience with Tim and that spirit is something I will never, ever forget. And it's stunning to be watching it, but to be in the room while that was happening and trying to figure out exactly what was going on while that was happening, just the excitement, the just how mystified we all were, that emotion that I felt in that moment. Every time I watch that clip, and I've watched it plenty, I feel the same emotions, and I cannot imagine for the rest of my life that I'll be able to look at that clip and not feel those things. That's how profound it was. That's how rare it was. That's how amazing it was. And that's how memorable it was. And I don't know if we'll ever capture, it's funny, every time we capture something amazing, I say, well, I don't know if we'll ever capture anything that good again. But that's why you keep doing it, because you hope that next year at this time, when I'm sitting here talking about 2024, that I have another amazing and profound experience. Every investigation is profound. Every investigation changes you. But rarely do you have an experience like that just jumps off the screen of the camera, jumps off the video, and just embeds itself into your soul because of how profound and impactful it was. I will never forget that. I know Tim will never forget that. And that's why it's the one thing about 2023 I'll never forget. So, We're saying goodbye to 2023, and thank you for joining us to reflect back on all the things that made this year so interesting. And it's been fun to reflect back. You think about the places you investigated, the spirits you communicated with, the people we've met along the way, and the journey as a whole. I mean, you can't help but smile at the memory. And deep down, that's why we do this. It's a passion and a love for this that keeps us coming back. And hopefully we'll keep you all coming back too as we share that journey. So on behalf of everyone here at Orange County, New York Paranormal, we want to wish you and your family an amazing holiday season, regardless of which one of the holidays you celebrate. And we will see you next year. And that's our biggest hope for next year, is that our investigations and this journey will continue to be anything but normal. Thank you very much for tuning in, and we'll see you next year on the Paranormal Podcast.